What's up, fight fans? And we're back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I am your host, Edwin, and we have a lot to talk about. We're going to be going into today's episode. We're going to be talking about some of the best boxers we have in boxing today. We're going to be breaking down and answering all of your questions. So if you like the video, give the video a like. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And like always, let's get right into this video. Let me know that you hear me loud and clear, and let me get a thumbs up. Can you type R1 if you hear me loud and clear out there? Let me just get set up here. What's up, Carlos? There you guys are. R1, thank you. Lionheart, how you doing? All right, baby. All right, guys. Well, guys, sorry, yeah, I got on a little late today, still kind of feeling the after effects of Mother's Day and everything. And I went out with the missus and my daughter, and we got some things, and we had to get some things for the trip, for the Puerto Rico trip, June 15th, with Sobril Matias and Liam Paro in Puerto Rico. So, I'm preparing to go out there. We did a little shopping today, so I got on a little late. But let's talk about this. There's a lot of discussion going on in the sport of boxing, and here at Round One Sports Talk, we want to give the most exciting fighters and boxers their credit. Here we are not biased. We don't have a horse in the race, but it's my job to bring to light some of the best men and women in the sport, so that their careers don't go by unnoticed, so to speak, by many. You know there are a lot of fans that have are just fans to a particular boxer or a few boxers, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you're perfectly okay with that, and that would make you a fan. I'm on the other side, I'm in the middle, I report. So that being said, um, interesting enough, there's still a lot of debate on who is the really top to top, top dogs out there, some of the biggest fighters. And I truly believe, before I even start this conversation, right? I'm not here to convince you. I'm not here to sell you on anyone. I want you to know that after this conversation, your favorite fighter should be your favorite fighter. Show the support and the love to the fighter that you love their style, and that's what will make you a fan, and a loyal fan on top of that. Um, but I'm here just to bring up facts, statistics, and what they did. Okay. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about the one and only Naoya the Monster Inoue. He's a Japanese fighter, and he just had a match in Tokyo, Japan, where he packed the house with it was packed at 55,000 at capacity. He fought Luis Pantera Nares. He's a Mexican fighter, and for the first time in his career, he was dropped. And it goes to show you there's no Superman, okay? But like in everything in life, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. It's not how I started my life or what I did or all my mistakes. It's what do I do tomorrow? You see, so many of us live with like either in anxiety or like a depression state, right? Meaning anxiety is something that it hasn't happened yet. That's when you have anxiety for something, right? You're thinking about something that hasn't happened. Depression is something that's already happened to you in the past, and you keep thinking about it. You see? And as through my life, I realized that, you can't live in the past, and you can't live in the future like that. You got to live in the present moment. There have been a lot of men and women in boxing that have been your favorite for a long time, retired, Sometimes in sports we can't transcend. It took me a long time to pass the torch from Joe Montana to Brady. It really did. You know, I some people in sports, we just don't move on. But as of right now, I love my Muhammad Ali's, I love my Mike Tyson's, and I will always give them their credit for what they accomplish in our sport. But there are men right now that are doing some amazing shit in the sport of boxing right now. Terence Bud Crawford is an American fighter, and he was the first fighter in boxing history since boxing started. There has never been a man to unify all the belts in two separate weight divisions, whether it was a 3 belt era, a 4 belt era, a 2 belt era. It was just, we're not going to go down to the 2 belt. That's just too far down. It was just too easy to do, to match, but we'll go to a 3, respectfully. And Terence Crawford, did something most fighters in the world sit in bed and dream about, you know? And he really did some remarkable stuff. When we look at back at Terence Crawford's record, even like if we was to go to boxing record right now, which in fact I have on, right? Terence Crawford started his career in 2008. Okay. And from 2008, it took him 23 fights to get his first crack at a world title, which he won at 135 pounds. Okay. Michael Jordan, 23, baby. You know what I'm saying? And he won his first world title against Ricky Burns, right? And from there, Terence Crawford never really looked back. He went on an impressive championship run, title fight after title fight, unifying the WBC and the WBO, defending those titles, then clinching all 4 belts at 140 pounds. Um, and then he moves up to 147 and he fights Jeff Horn, and remarkably, right, he vacates all the belts, no tune-up fight for him, right? Give him his credit, right? He moves up, he fights Jeff Horn, which at the time was coming off one of the biggest upsets and like for a long time in boxing. You guys remember, right, when he beat Manny Pacquiao? Did he beat Manny Pacquiao, or what did they gift wrap that went to Jeff Horn? Huh? Did he beat Manny Pacquiao? Can I get a yes or a no? Uh right? But Jeff Horn walks away with the victory, and then they fed him to Terence Crawford. They were like, "Oh, you want to act like you did something, right?" So Terence Crawford fights him, and then he fights fighters like Jose Benavidez. And Jose Benavidez, he fought Terence Crawford well, I believe, because you got to remember the man got shot in his leg. Okay, the man got shot in his leg, right? Out walking his dog. He was out walking his dog, and someone just walked up and shot him in the leg. That's the story. I'm sticking to it, I guess. Right? It's not funny, but I don't know if he was out walking his dog, is what I'm saying, right? So they shot him in his leg. And I got to be honest with you, Jose Benavidez has never been the same fighter. Before he got shot in his leg, let me remind you, he was undefeated. He was banging out all these dudes. After he gets shot in his leg, man, he came back not even a year off the bullet, the and he was jumping back in the ring. I guess he needed the money. I don't know. But yeah, he was never the same. But Terence anyway ended up dominating him, in spectacular fashion. He did what he had to do. And Terence Crawford moves up and stuff, and he accomplished his dream by unifying all 4 belts and being the first man in boxing history to do so. Now, there was another man that achieved such a status, and I want you to know who he is. A Japanese star by the name of Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue is 5'5", right? Currently, right now, he's 31 years old. He started his career at 19 years old, okay? You know, um, some of the great, or I should say, the GOATs, each one of them has an interesting story, like an interesting past. Tom Brady was picked um uh 199 overall in round 6, right? He wasn't picked number 1 or even close to being picked out of the draft number 1. He was picked number 199. You understand? So it was like, and then Naoya Inoue, I guess, I don't know what happened, but they thought he wasn't even good enough to make his Olympic team in Japan. Let me tell you something. He beat that kid. They just, it's Japan judging. I guess they had their eye on the other dude. They didn't think he was going to turn out to be. And Michael Jordan was cut from his varsity team. Like these were the legends. Like people gave up on these people. And look what these men turned out to be. If you let Michael Jordan's varsity coach tell him, Michael should have sold insurance. That's a fact, Jack. Everybody knows that story, right? These dudes didn't believe in this kid, right? 19 years old. He goes, all right, I ain't gonna go. Y'all not gonna let me fight for a gold medal? Y'all don't believe in me? Okay, I'll take my show on the road. 19 years old. Fights a guy right out straight out the gate, 16 fights. Now he done told his promoter, that guy, at this time, he wasn't signed with Top Rank though. He had no backing. You have to understand that. It's not like Naoya came out of the gate with a top promotional company, all the money in the world. No. In fact, right? Coming into the World Series of Boxing, Donito Donaire, 8 men entered that tournament. They were, Payano, Emmanuel Rodriguez, Maloney, they all entered to this tournament. Okay, now, when they entered this tournament, Naoya Inoue wasn't signed to Top Rank. Okay? In fact, right, he came up against a fighter by the name of Donito Donaire. Donito Donaire fought him on that night. It was one of the most amazing fights I've ever seen. It was up there with excitement, thriller. He had a fracture over the bone. No one knew what it was. We saw that he was blocking with his eye. His nose was busted. He was fighting Donaire. Yo, it was a very exciting fight, right? But yet, when he wins, they say that Flash, once upon a time, he was a 3-divisional world champion on the pound-for-pound list, signed to Top Rank. You see, they said, in fact, after Naoya Inoue won, that Donaire was too old. Wait a minute. If I'm not mistaken, had it not been for the Japanese superstar, Naoya Inoue, Donaire wins that tournament. Am I lying? Can you please type in R1, please, if I am correct? Donaire would have won that tournament. So how was he old? If he would have beat everybody in that tournament, how is he old? Yo, and I think that was one of the best versions of Donito Donaire. Right? Then you know what I'm saying? They still gonna talk. And you guys got to understand that Donito Donaire used to train with Naoya Inoue when he was 16, 17, 18. Okay? He knew who he was. He knew how he moved. He sparred with him. He had a lot of information on Naoya Inoue. And I'm telling you, that's why he fared so well against him. It's not like he walked in the ring and that was the first time they were meeting. No. And when you spar with a guy, look at how Jermaine Ortiz did against Loma. Jermaine Ortiz sparred with Loma for years. He even helped Loma go into some of his fights. He was his sparring partner. Then Jermaine Ortiz came and did put that performance on against Loma. It was supposed to be a 10-round fight. Jermaine Ortiz had at that point never fought a 12-round fight, and Loma's camp insisted on 12 rounds, 2 more rounds. Why? Because they knew by 10 rounds that Jermaine Ortiz would beat him. And that's exactly what happened. Jermaine at the time, he hadn't had his feet wet. But I tell you what, they fight again. That'll be interesting, right? Anyway, back to Naoya Inoue. Okay? That's why he knew him, because Danair kind of like knew him. But I gotta tell you, the Japanese superstars made his mark right there. And he also made a friend, Bob Arum, that night. Soon as Bob Arum saw that guy in the World Series of Boxing, Bob Arum signed him. And from there on, Bob Arum's been putting up the money. Now, Bob Arum was on record not too long ago saying, listen, in the 60 years I've been in boxing, I've never seen a fighter quite like Naoya Inoue. And I was like, come on, Bob Arum. Like, pump your brakes, right? And I was like looking at Bob Arum because he's your fighter, so you're always going to talk him up. But and then I started thinking, I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, what if he's right? What if he just happens to have him? He really got one now, right? I mean, Bob Arum's had them all. He's had all the greats. You know what I mean? He just happens to have a really good one right now. And like I said, there's no Superman. Yeah, he was dropped the other night for the first time, you know? And I'm not gonna make excuses for him and compare him to other legends that got dropped. No, this guy takes his good with his bad in this sport. He's a warrior, a real fucking warrior, right? Rises up off the canvas, gathers himself up, and I kid you not, Luis Neri didn't win another minute in that fight until he met his demise and got knocked out. That's pretty impressive from coming off the canvas. You got to understand, if I was the man that just put you on the canvas, my confidence is soaring through the roof. You should be a little bit nervous of me. You felt my power. Instead of being a little intimidated, he dusted himself off and went forward. And went forward with intelligence, though. With intelligence, right? Naoya Inoue, currently today, leading into that fight, right? I want you to understand something. Check this out. This this is pretty impressive, right? Check it out, right? Since he fought Nonito Donaire the second time, when he knocked out Nonito Donaire brutally, right? On that night, he had the IBF and the WBA coming into that fight, and that was a title defense, right? Okay. No. I think he won the WBA that night. Yeah, that's why I was bringing this up. That's right. He won the WBA that night, so he got 2 belts on that from that fight. Since the time he fought Donito Donaire the second time, he fought, and that was for 2 belts, right? He fought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then this one 9. His last 9 fights have been for 2 belts or better in a row. He hasn't fought for a single belt in his last 9 fights, meaning he was fighting for 2 belts or 3 belts or for 4 belts in his last 9 fights. I want you to understand something, right? Since the moment this Japanese superstar right here, okay, you enter boxing, right? Usually, typically, when you start off with a 4-round bout. Some fighters start off with a 6, right? He started off his professional career with an 8-round bout. His first boxing match was scheduled for 8 rounds. His second boxing match was scheduled for 8 rounds. His third, 10 rounds, and his fourth, 10th round. So he only had 4 fights. His fifth professional fight, it was scheduled for a 12-round fight. By his 5th fight, he already felt like he can maintain 12 rounds. Okay? Since the minute he entered the 12-round fights to present day, they've all been 12 rounds. Um that's uh that's 22 fights. Out of 22 fights, two of his fights went to 12 rounds. The Donito Donaire fight won in the World Series of Boxing. He was one of the guys that went to 12 rounds with him. And this other guy that like it was like a rare fight. I actually never even watched the fight. It was against a guy named his name was Devin. Devin um 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 why don't I just look it up? Where is it? Okay, okay. Nonito Donaire. Yeah, that was the first one, but there was one more. I know it. I had saw this, or did he only have one? Nah, it was the dude Devin Carmano. He fought him and he went 12 rounds with him. That's it. Everyone else he knocked out in true spectacular fashion. Right? Check it out. What are you guys saying here? Let me put up some of you guys' comment. Let me answer some of you guys. Hold on a second here. You know what? I'm gonna trust you guys behave tonight. I'm gonna let your comments flow. Only the best, buddy. Only the best can write their story. I'm trying to tell you. Look, and then look, guys, check it out, right? Naoya Inoue, right? He has 27 fights today, right? I believe it is. It's 27 fights with 24 knockouts, right? That's his record. Yeah, 27, 24 knockouts, right? He has he's 31 years old, he's 5'5", and he has a 67-inch arm reach, right? They have him listed here as an 88.89% knockout ratio. Basically a 90% knockout ratio, right? Okay. Um and let's talk about this. Listen, the other night when he made that title defense against Luis Pantera Nari, it put him in a category of men that have successfully unified and defended all four belts. Terence Crawford unified all four belts, but he was never able to make a title defense on that. Not every man that unifies all four belts is quick to get in the ring with another man and give him a shot at everything it took him so many years to accomplish. You got to understand that all your blood, sweat, and tears to get there, to get all four belts, and one guy just walks up, beats you, and takes everything on one night. Not everybody is willing to baptize another fighter and give him a free entrance into the Hall of Fame. Some fighters just vacate the belts and move up. And like, yo, you do it like I did it. Go get them like I did it the hard way. I ain't giving you a free ride. So some fighters look at it like that, right? Naoya Inoue, it was amazing what he did because when he moved up to 118 pounds, he beat every champion one by one. He beat all the top guys. He got all the belts. And then he did one of the craziest shit I've ever seen in all of boxing, right? He vacates all the belts in 30 days after he just won them. Like, who the hell thinks, how many times are you going to do this? It's hard enough just to get one world title. And this man has 55,000 people coming out to see him on a Monday night in Japan. 55 on a Monday night. Yo, Japan's not that big of a place, first of all, right? And he's packed. Listen, when we talk about 55,000, that's a lot of fucking people. There's only been a few boxers in the history that did big numbers like that. You got to understand, okay, Javante Davis in the Barkley, he did like 15, 18,000 people, right? Anthony Joshua got like he did big numbers. Anthony, he in that Wembley, he did like 80,000 fans. Tyson Fury did big numbers too. He did like 90, but if you notice, how many men have I said? Only so far two of them passed him. You see what I'm saying? There's not a lot of people that did that. I think Errol Spence Jr. had a big showing. He did like 40,000, some shit like that. He Arrow did some big numbers. Um, you can't even compare his numbers because Vegas is too small. So Floyd never did those kind of numbers because he only fought in Vegas. So he would have never found out. He did his shit on pay-per-view at the time. That on a Monday night, he's selling out tickets like that. And let's just think about this. Naoya Inoue is truly doing elite shit. Whenever an athlete can change an organization or bring you to tune in to his division, you know more about his division now and the fighters he fought because of him. Michael Jordan brought eyes to Chicago because of him. Who the hell were the Patriots before Tom Brady? That's when you know they're legends. When their fans themselves are saying, bro, I'm not blind. You guys can call him a hype job. You guys can say he had low to hand. You can spread all the rumors. Listen, when someone talks about you, right? My mom always told me, don't say nothing. And I said, why, mom? She said, because when people see you, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you dress is going to speak for yourself. It speaks volumes. You don't have to say shit. She was right. She was right. You know, when we see this guy, we're looking at him, we're going, man, I got to admit, they're saying this guy sucks, but that is some of the most impressive movement I've seen in a long time. Those are some of the most impressive knockouts I've ever seen. Then what they're talking about is the best fighters in the world. And then the argument keeps coming up. Terence Crawford, Naoya Inoue. My problem is that I've been down this road in the past. And where a lot of times they define the winner was by what? Activity. Who's getting in the ring the most? Because according to boxing, the one that gets in the ring the most is at most risk. Am I correct? Not only who's getting in the ring the most, but where's your competition at? Okay? So, you start to break this down and the picture starts to present itself. Well, why don't we look at the last times Naoya Inoue has fought? Well, he's just coming off um uh May 6th, right? A fight in the Tokyo Arena against Luis Nari, right? Then he's coming off December 26th. Then he's coming off a fight um July, right? Then before that, he's coming off a fight in December. Then before that, June. Then December, right? Do you see a pattern here? Do you see a pattern? Activity. Not only through those dates that I mentioned and activity, he's jumping over weight divisions. He went from 118 to 122. He's already had 3 fights in 122 pounds. Okay. Now, if we were to go to Terence Bud Crawford, right? And let's see who he fought last. He fought Errol Spence Jr. When did he fight Errol Spence Jr.? He fought him in July, right? Yeah, he fought him in July. The next time he fought from there was this. Okay, he fought in July of 2023. The fight previous to that was December 2022, right? So that's only a few months. That's like 7 months apart, actually. That's only like 7 months apart, right? Okay. The next fight after that, Damn. 2021, 11. That's a fucking year. The next fight after that, 2020, 11. That is exactly a year. The next fight after that, 2019, 12. That is exactly a year. The next fight after that, then he fought in 2019 twice. He fought on 4/20, and then he fought December 14th in 2019. And then he had another year in inactivity from 2019 to 2018. So he only fought twice in 2019. He fought twice in 2018. 2018 he fought twice. 2019 he fought twice. 2020 he fought once. 2021 he fought once. 2022 he fought once. 2023 he fought once. And in 2024 he's going on fighting once. 5 years he's only fought 5 fights in 5 years. Yeah. Naoya Inoue got more fights in 1 year. He has more fights in 1 year than he does in almost 5 years. Naoya Inoue already coming up on 3 fights. He's passed 3 fights this year in less than a calendar year. And when you're looking at it from the outside looking in like that, you got to admit that how could you keep giving Terence Crawford the pound for pound best fighter in the world when he's in activity? One fight a year, and that performance when Naoya Inoue in his last 3 fights, he fought an undisputed champion, and a former world champion, which was the number one rank at his title. So he fought the number one guy and 2 undisputed champions. Oh, and by the way, he knocked all 3 of them out. And you're only putting that up against one fight, the Errol Spence Jr. fight. And I mean, I'm not being biased here and I'm not trying to sell you, right? But I'm just asking you, what's on paper? What did they actually do? I'm not talking about just because he's my favorite fighter or whatever. He could still be your favorite fighter. But just acknowledge what the other boxer's doing. You got to admit, it's pretty impressive. Oh, and by the way, he's undefeated too. So, look, Terence Crawford right now, he's moving up to 154 pounds. And he's going to make his stake a claim. And I think that if he's successful and he wins that 154-pound title, you could almost more than guarantee he's going after the other belts. He's going to make a run for it. I think he can do it. I actually think he can do it. Who's going to stop him? Who's going to stop him? The only thing that could stop him is money. He'll do some dumb shit, which I fear, just like Jermell Charlo did. It went out and fought Saul Canelo Alvarez. Saul Canelo Alvarez sees that David the Monster Benavidez has moved on from him. And seeing that other fight between Demetrius Bivol and Arthur, is going to get pushed back. They're saying it's still going to happen, right? So he's past him. So where is Saul Canelo Alvarez's big fight at? Terence Crawford. If Terence Crawford entertains that money, you can say bye to that quest to unifying all 4 belts. You can say bye to that. Yeah. Because he's going to go try to fight Saul. But Saul's not going to fight him at 168. And Terence Crawford's not going to. So it's going to be at a catch weight. At maybe even like 160 or somewhere like that. And Terence Crawford's still going to be pushing himself out. But it ain't going to be for Saul Canelo Alvarez's belts. Terence Crawford ain't no goddamn Superman. Come on, people, right? He's not going to move up from 154 to jump up to 168 and pull this off. I don't know if you guys think that. I mean, if anybody in the world can pull it off, it would be Terence Crawford now, wouldn't it, right? But I would fear that. Man, come on. You're like giving Saul, you would be giving Saul all the benefits. Nah, you gotta drain him down a little bit too to make this even. I hope Terence Crawford's smart enough to get at least Saul down a couple pounds, make him drain himself out too. If you're going to max yourself out, then you better give some too. Don't just go into his weight like Jamel Charlo did on some real dumb like that was just man, like all the benefits was that on Saul's side. So, on some shit like that. And I think he'll go for it. But as far as the Japanese superstar, I gotta admit, you know, I'm impressed with each performance. And with every time I see him in every out, although shocking to watch him go down, because I gotta admit, I was like, taken back by that. I was like, oh shit, right? But I spoke about this, the way it woke him up, his dominant streak. Look, with everything that goes on in boxing, he's a human. Imagine yourself in his shoes. What are all the fans telling you? What are they typing to you? What does your father tell you? What is your brother, your friends, everybody around you, the world, the mayor, the governor, or the Japanese president? You don't think that all these rich people want to meet him? And when they call out to meet him, the Japanese most popular movie star out there, or the popular Japanese singer, you know what they're going to do? You know what? I want to meet him. How do you deal with all of that and stay the best? How do you shut out all the noise and keep that fire under you that keeps you training at that top level? Some fighters, you can see it clear as day, like George Camboza. George Camboza, since the time he beat Tio, has never fought like that again. And he hasn't fought like that since. And he's taken a lot of criticism for it, for all these losses back to back. The ride that George Camboza was on, that was a hungry man. The moment he ran into money, his level went down. And I talk about this. Some men start to think just to stay in shape, just like David Haney did. He thought just to stay in shape, he'd beat Ryan Garcia. No, Devin Haney fell for what his antics. He sure the hell did. He fell for it. He said, this guy's not into this fight. He ain't taking it serious. Got one. Yo, he hooked David Haney, bro. And look, I'll talk about that in some other time, that whole little thing, but I gotta tell you that this Japanese dude really, like, when he got dropped, he really showed a championship's, you know, heart, man. He look, that's not easy to do. First of all, you know, going down for the first time in your career, everybody calling you the monster, living up to that name. They asked him, do you like the name the monster? He said, I never liked it. He said, I didn't pick it. I didn't like that. It was put on by the people that watched him as a little dude coming up. They were like, man, that kid's a monster, and they put that name on him. Living up to those kind of names, and your wife is out there, your kids are watching, your mother's out there. You saw how Naoya, his mom, she like clinched and she went down. She was shocked. His dad, Shingo's face, their reactions, they were like, you know what I'm saying? But they kept it together as a team. They were very professional. They didn't panic at all. Naoya Inoue went back in the second round, sat down in the stoop, on the stoop, and you can see he was embarrassed. You can clearly see that. You can see it in his performance when he started smiling in the ring. And that's when your best acting performance in boxing comes on, right? And the Academy Boxing Award goes to, and Naoya Inoue would have got that award right there in that moment, because that's when his best acting jobs were coming out. He was battling with his feelings, trying to stay focused in the moment while a man was attacking him. Gathering his thoughts and remembering, who are you? I'm a champion. I'm Naoya Inoue, damn it. And he snapped right out of it. He snapped right out of it and he came back with the kind of confidence that you can't teach that. The only way you're going to find out you're built like that is in the moment. First of all, you have to recognize what's going on. You got to embrace it. And once you embrace it, you are no longer thinking about embarrassment. The crowd shuts off and it's time to punch in and it's time to go to work. Your confidence and your focus has to be as one. And in those moments, he was serious about his attack. He knew he was hurt. He knew he had the power to hurt him. And he didn't shy away from that. He went in exchange, ducked underneath his shots, used his footwork. He remembered all his training. I bet you if you could like take a glimpse in his mind, it would have went back to like one of those kung fu theaters. He would have remembered all his training. He was thinking about punching into the water. Right? And then you can hear the like, duh, and then he just started coming back in the fight, bro. It was like a real freaking like. I was so fucking nervous when he went down, and then he got up, and he gets out of the round in the second round. When he hit Luis Nari with that check hook, yeah, I was happy he got it back, but I wasn't completely, satisfied because I recognize that was more of a like a, he caught him off balance, kind of like a stun knockdown, and I didn't feel like Luis was really hurt by the punch. So now we had tied it up at this point. Now, during this time, I'm thinking and I'm looking at him. I'm looking at and his expression doesn't change. He knew what he was there to do. He was there to hurt him. And listen, he just started going to work. He made the adjustments that he needed to. This time, you weren't going to get me with that check hook. As a matter of fact, we weren't going to go in on the inside and tie up like that. The times that they tried to go on the inside, it didn't work because both men wanted to be the aggressor. And when you get a lefty like that, it's going to be a lot of clash of heads because your jab is his jab. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes that messes you up. So when Luis takes a step, he takes a step in, they're going to clash heads. You see? So, it was just a lot of impressive things. He knew he had these weapons. He didn't shell up. When Devin Haney was fighting Ryan Garcia, that Ryan Garcia caught him in the very first round, right? Devin Haney had that same look of an athlete that was a little embarrassed and he couldn't embrace the moment. He couldn't accept what was happening. And he couldn't accept that this guy was beating him, right? He had to make adjustments. Devin Haney, instead of making adjustments, he forgot what he was there to do. He forgot about his training. He forgot about he had legs. Devin Haney had a lot of tools in his bag. He just didn't go to anything. It was like he was shell-shocked. And that's what I mean. Getting up off the floor or being outboxed or dominated in the first few rounds is not as easy as everybody thinks. That you can just get yourself together and you're just going to go like this because you're screaming from your couch. Yo, bob and weave, throw the jab, put him up. Bro, that shit is not easy. These guys are human, and not every fighter is processing information the same way. That's why I say that in certain situations, I've seen this Japanese dude in, man, when he Donaire, you got to admit, when we found out later, because it's like, I talk about it now because I know the extent of the injury. At the time, while the fight was going on live, I didn't know that his orbital bone was broken, cracked. I didn't know this whole shit was cracked. Nobody did. He's over here fighting the fight like this. Go back and watch his tape. He's like this, fighting, because he said he saw 3 of them. So he couldn't. So he was working for 10 rounds like this. And do you notice, you know, you know, Donaire got to hit him with other shots, fucked up his nose. There was a little blood, and at time he got to get that cut a little bit, and then it was a little blood came out of it and shit. But for the most part, that cut opened up that much. It ended the fight that big, meaning Donaire didn't get back to it. He did a hell of a job of defending the wound because, we don't want to kill each other, but we're in the hurt business. And I'm pretty sure Donaire's corner was telling him, go for the eye. From the second round, you got that injury. And he was able to listen. That's what I talk about. There's a lot of things and a lot of situations he was in. He's been in slugfests. He fought lefties. He fought tall guys, short guys. He jumped up 3-4 divisions. You know what I mean? And it's every test they putting him in front of, he's passing. And I don't understand why, some people wouldn't consider him that kind of champion, because he's not 150 pounds, because he's not 140 pounds or something. Like, but I can't ignore those world titles. And I can't ignore that if it was so easy, then why the fuck isn't no one else doing it? Why isn't it that it's hard enough for every other bantamweight to only, the highest they ever got was unifying 2 belts. That's it. There hasn't been another welterweight champion yet or since that had 3. They're too good. They keep knocking each other off. So that's got to speak volumes. He didn't do it in 1 division. He did it in 2. And in divisions where men are not doing this. And I got to admit, I'm looking at it like, shit. That's that's some pretty impressive shit right there. And then the fact that what's even more impressive to me, that he actually has me talking about him. I find that impressive. I'm not easily impressed, is what I'm saying. And I gotta admit, this guy is fucking great. How far can he go in boxing? Time will tell. He's looking to, and one thing I noticed, right? After the fight with Luis Pantera Nari, he's in the ring, right? And I am, he's cheering, right? He's in the ring, he's like, yeah, I just won. Yeah, blah, 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 right? He's like, yeah. I see him pointing at somebody in the crowd, and he starts going like this to him. And then when his the Japanese boxing promoter got in the ring, he was outside of the ropes at first. He was getting in. I think he just got in. Inoue hugged him, and he points to somebody in the crowd, right? And then the Japanese dude, the promoter dude, he starts like making it happen. Naoya Inoue goes back to the center ring. They start trying to take off his gloves, right? So the camera angle that they were showing it, I just kept looking into the corner to see who comes up, because I was like, that's probably going to be his wife, right? Or his mom or somebody. It had to be somebody important, right? I'm saying to myself. So I'm sitting there looking like this, right? It's fucking Goodman. Sam Goodman. Bro, he told Sam Good, yo, get in here. Get you right there. Get in the ring. He knew Goodman was out there sitting down. He invited Sam Goodman in the ring, and he had them go get him. Bro, when American fighters win, when our American fighters win, Tank Davis, Devin Haney, Terence Crawford sometimes, all the good American, what do they say after every fight? You guys remember? No, let me brush it up, right? He goes, you won the fight. What do you want to do next? And who do you want to fight next? Right? What does American fighters always say? Well, I got to go back, talk to my team, talk to my manager, whoever they want me to fight, I'll fight. Uh, that's what they say. That dude's going on vacation. Every single time. Who do you want to fight next? Well, I got to go back, talk it over with my team. Whatever they want, whoever they put in front of me, I'll fight them. That's an American answer. Bullshit. What does the Japanese superstar do? Yo, you, right there, get in the ring. Tell him you want to fight me because I can't say it. Yo, he ain't taking no breaks. Right after Stephen Kubo Fulton, Marlon Tapales. Right after Marlon Tapales, Luis Pantera Nari. Right after him, you get in the ring. Bro, his wife has to be very supportive. Very supportive. I mean, she has to be a boxing wife, like the real deal. Like, she must not see her husband a lot. Well, I guess he trains in Japan, and goes home in Japan. It's not like, I guess his training camps, I don't know how he does it really. I don't know if he goes to a certain part of Japan and locks in, and because that man is fighting literally every 6 months. As of right now, he has fought every 6 months. Yeah. It's fucking, he's going into another training camp. He's taking literally 1 month off, 30 days. And he usually takes his wife to that same vacation spot that she loves. The one that he goes to. He goes to the Boxing Japan Hall of Fame with her. Yo, he'll take his wife to some boxing shit. This man lives, eats, shits boxing, and I fucking love it. I think he's very good for the sport. I think he's raising the bar. And I think a lot of these guys that are coming up really need to take a page out of his book to show the level of dedication and focus that it takes to be that kind of world champion. Like I talked about, George Camboza has never looked the same. You know why? And he won't. You know why? Because he stepped down from his level. Once your body goes out of shock of 10 years of training, you're going to have to train just that hard that whole year, the one you took off, to try to get back to that level. Any gaps in between, you keep having gaps. Like, for instance, you don't have a fight schedule, so you're not training. And then when you get a fight schedule, that's when you start your training, you're fucked. Your skill's going to go down. Your competition never stops training. They don't got a fight schedule. They're in the gym every day until they get that phone call. Then they step it up in the training. But there's never breaks. That's the same way most of these champions were before they became champion. And they forgot what got them there. They forgot the level of hard work. They just think they're that good. They just got to stay in shape. And that's a common mistake in a lot of sports. But there were a lot of special men and women I used to hear throughout the course of sports that used to preach this shit. Like that dude that beat Connor, the Eagle Nurmagomedov. Bro, that dude is a smart dude. He said it. He used to, when he retired, he used to call them fights, and he used to say it all the time. This dude took time off. He's not gonna be able to beat this guy because this guy don't take no time off. And it's a mistake. That is a champion's curse, that if you take time off, you're not gonna be that same champion. You gotta stay with your competition. That's why Camboza will never be that kind of champion again. He has to stay the course. He doesn't. He takes time off between every fight. Yeah. This Japanese dude, man, he's hopping out of the ring. He just won the fight. He's in the locker room training for the next fight. Yo, he's tapped, right? But that's what, if you want to be that kind of world champion, I guess that's what it takes. It's true what they say. Boxing is truly a lonely man's sport. And if you're not talking boxing, teaching me something about boxing, then go that way. These kind of men. Javante Tank Davis, man, I gave him a lot of praise, and I always will because I recognize his skill. But what sets him apart from legendary fighters are the belts. Are the belts. You know what I mean? What's going on, guys? Why do you think you invite Sam Goodman? Because Sam Goodman is the mandatory to two of his belts, Lloyd. He's been the mandatory to two of those belts. What happened was before Naoya Inoue entered the scene, Sam Goodman was a mandatory, but because the Naoya Inoue to the other champions were bigger fights, they overlooked Sam Goodman. So he's just a disgruntled employee that's been looked over in a couple fights. Not in too many fights because he really had to make his way too. He just like a year. It's been like a year since he's been the number one contender. Hasn't been that long, right? And it was just like a one fight thing where they skipped over him. But Sam Goodman is the legit mandatory. He can actually put in paperwork right now to fight Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue would have to fight him. He would they would force him to fight him, or he would have to vacate the belts. But what Naoya Inoue is saying to Sam Goodman's team, you don't have to file the paperwork. I will kick his ass. Tell him to come in the ring. Matter of fact, I'll fight him next. He's only fighting the number one top guy ranked. Naoya Inoue is actually doing it the legit way. You know how when Saul Canelo Alvarez has David the Monster Benavidez is mandatory for over 3.5 years, right? You don't have to be the Naoya Inoue's mandatory for long. If you're the number one guy, he says, give me the number one guy. How much more dominant do you want him to be? If Sam Goodman is the guy that legitimately made his way up there, not by name, not like fighters like Casamera, MJ. MJ couldn't hold his belt. If MJ was that guy and you guys want to see him fight MJ, then why isn't MJ, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think MJ's behind Goodman. In fact, he is, come to think of it. But like, I should have used Casamera. If you guys wanted to see him fight Casamera, then why didn't Casamera beat the guys Goodman beat to become the number one guy? It's enough with these guys wanting free rides to the top. Yeah, you were good at one time. Yes, you were exciting at one time. Who are you today and where are you in the rankings? That's all that counts. Out with the old, in with the new. You guys know how this goes. It's nothing personal. It's just competition. Right? So if Goodman's is actually his fucking mandatory and he's honoring that, that's top dog shit. That's top dog shit. Who do you want him to fight? Both of them at the same time? Are you not entertained? I don't know what to say. He can't fight anybody higher in his division. You see? So I actually think it goes Goodman, then MJ. I don't see Casamera's name anywhere in the rankings. Anywhere. I look, man. Yeah, he was good. He was great. Yeah, that fight was exciting. Yeah, it was talked about at one point in time. Naoya Inoue has done things. What has Casamero done? What has MJ done? What has all these other guys have done? Naoya Inoue is right there with these guys in these divisions. But it seems like Naoya Inoue is the one with all the belts. It's not coincidence. They didn't give him the belt. They didn't hand them to him. He whooped everybody else's ass. So when everybody else is saying, oh, I want him to fight this guy, I want this guy. Yeah, you want. Have they earned? Naoya Inoue is going by the rules of boxing. If you're the next man up, I'll fight him. I'm not going down no lower. I'm only keeping it at the best. Are you a mandatory WBC mandatory Luis Panterinari? Yes, I will fight you. Goodman, are you the number one contender? I will fight you. I'm not going to overlook the number one guys just to please the fan from a guy that couldn't get himself to the number one spot. The man that made it to the number one spot, I'm going to honor your hard work and I'm going to accept it. You deserve to be here. You were the next man in line. I'll fight you. How much better can you do it? He's not fighting guys 2 divisions up, 1 division down, blowing one guy up, fighting the number 10 guy. He's not doing any of that shit. You have to, you know what I'm saying? I'm just looking on what's on paper. This is not made up. I'm not sitting here trying to sell you on anything. This is actually what's going on. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, what the fuck? This is exactly the way it's supposed to go. If Saul Canelo Alvarez fought like this, he would have been fought David the Monster Benavidez 3.5 years ago. If all these guys fought exactly the top guys like they claimed, and some of these guys didn't fight these popular fights or big money fights or all these other kind of fights, rather than who should they be fighting that deserves it, he's actually telling Bob Arum, I know they want this fight right here because it's exciting, but that guy didn't deserve it. Then what do you want to do? I want to fight the guy that deserves it. Who's next? Him. Then that's who I want to fight. God damn it, baby. How better do you want, man? You know what I'm saying? Dude's a dog, bro. He's a straight animal. You know? And I look, man, you know, I don't have to sugarcoat it. I don't have to beef him up. He's doing video game shit by himself. He's got video game stats. His stats would be on some shit. I'd be pounding my chest, looking at my little brother going, what? Look at me on PlayStation 5. I'm the man. I got all 4 belts in 2 separate weight divisions. Don't you better watch how you talk to me, son. On some video game shit, right? Right? This man is actually doing it in real life. It's really, really, really unique. You know, and when we talk about his performances throughout everything, you got to take it into account the way he's doing it. He took Stephen Kubo Fulton and he knocked him out brutally. He took fighters like Marlon Tapales and all these guys. He outsmarted a veteran craft Nodito Donaire in the first round. If there was 10 seconds left in that fight, in that first round, he was out of there. I mean, it was 20 something seconds later, he was knocked out in the second round, just because it goes to show you. You know what I mean? And with a full minute recovery, too, in between that. He got a full minute recovery, came out 20 seconds later, he was knocked out. He would have never survived if there was another 10 seconds in that first round, you know? And it goes to speak about the way he's doing and how he's doing it. And then when we judge our fighters, if we're not judging them based on their division, that would be the equivalent of you working at your job and they're judging you at another job, at another position, where you're not even there. And they're giving you bullshit about it, like real shit. Like, you're working over here. Why ain't you solving that problem over there? You're only one person. How the fuck are you going to do that? And that's not your job over there. You're working here. Why are you responsible for what happens in the building next door? You shouldn't be held accountable for what the fuck they're doing next door in the other building. You're at your job doing your job at the best. So why the fuck should Naoya Inoue be held accountable because he's not fighting Terence Crawford? Or any of these other bigger guys, or Tank Davis, or any, they're not in his weight division. They're not in his job. He can only fight the guys that are there. And that's what I mean, that once he started getting to this point, I knew there was going to become a point in time where he was going to need a proper dancing partner. He's going to need a proper dancing partner. You know, Terence Crawford had Errol Spence Jr., Tank Davis needs a better, a really good proper. He needed the Devin Haney's, the Teofimo Lopez. They were all there. They didn't just fight. You know what I'm saying? And I truly believe if God would have blessed Naoya Inoue with a little bit more size, and he would have came up with those other guys, that would have been a real interesting time in boxing. And it would have been real interesting to see. And I would have liked to see how he fared against all those big names, the Lomas, the Teofimo Lopez's, the Devin Haney's, the Ryan Garcias. If he would have came up, he was in boxing when they were all in boxing. Yes, they just weren't in the same weight division. He happened to be blessed by the gods, man, with just a little bit more size, with all the stuff that he has, wow, that would have been amazing. He just wasn't in their weight divisions. But don't think that the guys he was fighting were bums or tomato cans. No, they were highly skilled guys. And Japan is becoming the new Vegas right of late, because it goes to show that there are a lot of big right now Japanese champions. And I haven't seen this many Japanese champions simultaneously in like ever in the sport of boxing. And I mean ever. Japan's always had like that one, two, or three. They've had great fighters and they've had champions, yes, but not 10, 11 world champions in one calendar year. They've never had no shit like that. If I'm wrong, let me know. If ever in the history of boxing, Japan's had this many world champions. Like I've never remembered that shit. And it goes to show that the sport is evolving. And Japan is really making, their claim in the sport. It's not like the boxing out there is revered as one of the top sports in Japan. No. And the fact that he's filling up 55,000 people on a Monday, it speaks volumes, because it's not like boxing is like where baseball is in Santo Domingo. What baseball is to Santo Domingo, what college football is down to Florida. They're like hardcore. It's like everywhere. That is a football state. Everybody plays football. Your grandmother played football. Everybody does, right? On that type shit. Boxing's not like that in Japan. It's not a sport that is dominating. He's doing this. And he took a lot of Japanese fighters with him. By him doing this, a lot of other people were like, hey, are you anything like that other guy? And they're starting to give him fights. At the same time, they have to win the fights, and they're doing so. It's not like they were like, giving them shots and they're not winning. No, they're winning. And it's impressive how they're doing it. So yeah, their little wave is coming up right now. I'm not gonna say it's little. It's more like, it's like more like a typhoon there. And at the same time, you got to understand that during this time, Japan started secretly coming in like ninjas from out that way. The UK was supposed to be coming down with a wave of fighters there themselves. And it seemed like when they started getting momentum, a lot of their fighters fell. Yeah. And their wave never really like splashed down in America that hard. We thought from all the fighters that were coming out at a point in period of time, like 10 years ago, that the Europeans were going to come on the scene and really like, because they were winning a lot at that during that time. And look where we are today. And it shows you that the sport is evolving, that there has been a lot of players in the game that are really stepping up their level of competition, and it's beautiful. For a long time, America has dominating boxing. It's not even close. So all our fights and everybody, man, it's just an exciting time. And we have some amazing champions in boxing right now. We have some champions that are rocking 100% knockout ratios, such as a Subriel Matias entering into Puerto Rico against Liam Paro. He's a very, very, very dangerous man. In fact, unfortunately, he fatally one of his opponents fatally passed away from fighting a man such as him, and the kind of beating and punishment he puts on his opposition. So Briel Matias is a real blunting kind of man, and he likes to butcher, so to speak, his opponent. You never want to kill anyone in the ring. We are in the hurt business, and I don't think anybody intentionally wants to do that. But in every sport, there are accidents, and these things happen, and we must move on with the sport, right? Um, and since that time, Subriel Matias has really, really come through and shown that he's a force to be reckoned with at the 140-pound weight division. He's fighting Liam Paro, that is currently the global WBO champion, which in uh, he's an interim champion, but he's a champion, and he's willing to go out to Puerto Rico and fight Supremo Diaz in his home country, right? Now, one of the biggest fights that are coming out is May 18th with Tyson Fury and Usyk. Now, look, if you're asking for me to pick a winner, right, on the day of the fight, we're going to do the same thing we have been doing in our last two fights. Okay. We've started a new thing here. When we're entering the fights, I write down on paper everybody who thinks is going to win, how you think he's going to win, what round is it going to knock out, who's going to win, or go to a decision. And we're going to all write it down. We're going to get together and we're going to have a great time. And we should get the first unified NFL four belt era heavyweight champion in about 24, 25 years. The first one in about that long. So it's been a very long time since a heavyweight champion has been able to unify. It goes to show how hard that shit is to do, to be undisputed, to get all four belts. That no heavyweight champion has been able to do that in 25 years. That's how hard that shit is to do. Or imagine all the men in the last 25 years that have come through boxing as heavyweights. And they couldn't do it for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? So you got to commend men like Terence Crawford and Naoya Inoue for doing such a feat. And you just can't look over that. And the fact that he's actually got you tuning in, watching him, because you know what your eyes tell you. You guys are intelligent boxing fans. If you're watching me on this channel, you guys are intelligent boxing fans. You know your sport. You know what you're looking at. Give yourself an R1. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you right now, man, my eyes do, they're not deceiving me. And I know who I'm watching and I know what I'm watching, but I also understand that there is no Superman. He doesn't exist. These men are in a fight. You're going to get touched. He got knocked down the other night, but it's how you finish. How do you respond? How did he respond? I believe he's still the champion, right? Of all four belts. That's how he responded. Devin Haney's lucky to be the owner of the WBC world title still, because in negotiation, he was smart enough to say, if he's coming in overweight, win, lose, or draw, I stay the champion. He can't win the belt. They said yes. Smart move. Or did he think he was going to lose? They've met each other 6 times before in the amateurs. They were familiar with each other. And he didn't know who Ryan was? No, he knew exactly who Ryan was. And he knew exactly his only move. But it didn't seem like, with knowing everything that you know, facing him 6 times, this is the outcome that you're shocked. So Devin Haney's going to be fine after this fight. He's going to have to dust himself off. He's going to have to get himself back in the ring. He's all of 25 years old, and he is still the WBC 140-pound champion in the world. Still. Not like Jermel Charlo, where he hasn't defended the belt in about 1,000+ days, gets arrested on a DUI. That's our American middleweight champion. That's drunk in a car, getting arrested, DUI, not defending the belt. We're watching this unfold. Him calling up to a podcast, asking the kid for money. You guys remember that, right? And unfortunately, I talk about this. Sometimes it's not even the ring that takes our fighter from us. You're watching it unfold right before your eyes. And it's sad sometimes, man, because we know some of these guys would have had better careers. But unfortunately, if you don't keep your head on a swivel at all times, life will knock you out. Life will knock you out. I've been hearing that. Yeah, he just has to become a champion. That's it, at 140 pounds. That's all. As of right now, Naoya Inoue is the heaviest Japan fighter at 122. And he's also the strongest Japan accomplished fighter with all 4 belts. There's no other Japan fighter that has his kind of accolades. You know what I'm saying? And there are heavier Japan fighters, yeah. And what about that Japanese dude that fought Loma? That Loma beat him. He closed his eye. He was mad tall and shit. What's his name? Nakatani, something like that. Yeah, he's heavier than Naoya in a way, but they don't qualify in the conversation because we're only talking about world champions. So from world champions, 122 down, they're dominating, bro. All 4 belts belong to Japanese fighters at 118. And at 115, they got champions. At 108, they got champions. They got champions all the way down, bro. Japan. But he's got to become a world champion first. And then at 140, if he can do some shit like that, then he'd be the biggest fucking Japan, the heaviest, and yeah, they're biggest. Yeah. Yeah. But Japan got bigger fighters. And the amazing thing is that every time I try to like think, a stereotype, I'm guilty of it. And I admit, that I think of Japan guys as small dudes, like Chinese dudes, right? When Yao Ming is in the NBA, how the hell is Yao Ming short? Right? 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 And then sumo wrestlers, they're fucking huge, man. Japan dudes are big. Okay? They can get big too. So I don't know why my brain tells me that. They're just like any other race. You know, uh, as Puerto Ricans, we got short Puerto Ricans and we got tall Puerto Ricans. You know what I mean? American, they're just a race. So um, do I think he can? Naoya in a way, maybe not, because from the transition from 118 to 122, I mean, his legs got a little thicker. This part of his neck did, but you can see it in his arms and his body. He's already starting to lose definition. You know what I'm saying? Where that it's more fat weight than you see. And I think he's maxed out. I think he's maxed out. I mean, I know his skill can take him up one more division or so. His skills can take him there. As far as being equal in weight, He's going to have to do what many fighters and many goats and legends done in the sport of boxing, men like Manny Pacquiao, men like Floyd Mayweather. He had to go in and fight guys 20 pounds heavier than him. That's the only way to do it. Floyd Mayweather didn't belong at 154 pounds fighting Miguel Cotto. He didn't. That was a lie like a motherfucker. He never made that weight. Mayweather's never been that big. And then on fight night, Miguel Cotto gained 20 more pounds. He made the weight at 154 and gained. Miguel Cotto came into that fight like 168, in fact. Maybe more, I think it was, against Mayweather. He was 20 fucking pounds, bro. Yeah, that's just a fact. Manny Pacquiao did that 100 times too. Manny Pacquiao was fighting all these bigger dudes throughout his career, man. And those are like exceptional fighters. There's only a few men. That's why they're who they are, in fact, because of the shit that they did. There weren't a lot of men that can do Manny Pacquiao shit, bro. In fact, no one was doing Manny Pacquiao shit. Like, that's why Manny Pacquiao is Manny Pacquiao. That's why Floyd is Floyd. That's why a lot of these greats are who they are. Like Ali, man. The impressive heavyweight run that he did. That's why they are who they are. The way he moved, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, winning the fights. No one thought you can win. No one thought Ali was going to beat George Foreman, bro. You got to understand that when I'm telling you legitimately, there were actually people that were thinking George Foreman was going to kill Ali. Like they legitimately thought, they were telling Ali, please don't take this fight. This man is going to kill you. Ali, listen to me. George Frazier took you 12 rounds, broke your jaw, beat you. You fought Frazier X amount of times. I think it was 3 times, right? And it was like you can barely knock out Frazier. You couldn't move Frazier. George Foreman came in that ring against Frazier. Bro, he hit him with a shot that he literally picked him up off his feet in the fight. He hit him, boop, and both his feet came up off the canvas, and he was running from him. He beat him like a stepchild, like, boop. He didn't make it out the first round. And Ali was older. Ali comes back from retirement off his couch, talk about, I'm going to beat you. Bro, people were legitimately saying that George Foreman was going to kill Ali. Like after Ali would never be the same. In fact, he paid the price for that fight. And those are the men that won those kind of fights. That's what solidifies you. When you do shit like that, when your back's against the wall and you defied all odds, and you come. If Mike Tyson knocks out Jake Paul, right? Yo, listen, I will go crazy, okay? Because even though that's not a record fight, you know what I mean? No, it's rumors going on record. It's fucking crazy, bro. I don't want Mike Tyson to get another loss on his record because this is what I talk about, champions doing stupid shit at the tail end of their career and then fucking up their legendary status. That's why you can't call Naoya Inoue GOAT just yet. He has to retire. And once he retires and he keeps the gloves down, not like he retires a year later, he comes back. Then he's fighting in his 50s, getting knocked out of the ring like Bernell Hopkins, where they destroyed their legendary careers. Roy Jones Jr., I always say this and I'll continue to say it. He should have went down as a much better champion. He's on that championship where he can beat his chest for a little bit in the conversation until somebody says, yeah, but what about this guy Gonzaga? And what about this guy that beat you? And, his only thing is, that wasn't me then. I needed the money, but it counts. It fucking counts. And that I got to admit, that hurts your career. So until he retires and laces up the gloves and is real about retirement, that's when they'll go over his credentials. That's why when you retire in a sport, they automatically don't want to put you in the Hall of Fame so fast, because athletes have a tendency of coming back. That's why they have a 3 year waiting period to start the inductees, or a 5 year waiting period in some um, sports. They can't start to consider you until you're retired for 3 years or 5 years. Then your name comes into the ballot. And if they pick you to enter the Hall of Fame, they call you first round ballots. And the only athlete in sports history that I've argued for that they shouldn't wait the 3 years to induct him into a Hall of Fame is Tom Brady. It's a no brainer. You don't why even have the waiting process? Oh, let's think about it. Are we going to take him? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you going to take Tom Brady? As a matter of fact, do Tom Brady a favor and do not put him in the Hall of Fame. I'm going to go on record and I'm going to say this. Do not put Brady in the Hall of Fame. What you need to do is build him a separate building on the side of the Hall of Fame and charge a separate fee, the Brady wing, right? And you can make that whole building just Brady, all right? Right? Don't put him in the Hall of Fame. Make his own building, right? The man deserves it. The man deserves it, okay? Fucking 10 Super Bowl appearances. Are you fucking crazy? 7 rings. Are you crazy? It's that's a ridiculous career. He has 3 Hall of Fame careers in one career. Legitimately, 3 Hall of Fame careers. It's fucking stupid, bro. I don't see the reason why they should wait to put them in the seriously. I mean, the separate building is a joke, but they should do it. But anyway, right? Um, you know what I mean? I just think that yeah, he went, but there's a lot of fighters that once they retire, they more than likely I think Andre Ward is up for election for the Hall of Fame right now too. I think he got in. I forgot on that status. I might have already known that, but there's so much I pick up on, and in boxing, and boxing's always evolving and moving. Who's in, who's out. You know, I wanted to go to, in fact, to the New York Hall of Fame in June 6th through the 8th. The Hall of Fame is going to have a ceremony there. There's going to be a lot of boxers there, and in fact, in New York City, is going to be the Puerto Rican parade that week too. It'd be real good to interact with the fighters, and then Tank Davis's fight would be coming on right on after those weekends. It'll be like a 2 week affair. But there's a lot of things happening in New York City. But unfortunately, it's from the 6th to the 8th. I'm getting on a plane the 9th to go to Puerto Rico, and I just thought it was going to stretch me beyond my means. Spending money, a bus ride to New York, whatever, etc. Whatever I spend there, then back, and then like a day later to Puerto Rico to spend more money and things like that. So, yeah, I was just, I want to make it happen so bad. I still want to go, but like they're like, yo, just chill. Just there'll be another time, another day for things. Just focus on one thing, and then I'm just like, okay, okay. I don't want to do too much or stress myself about my means, but I would have loved to catch that as well. And there's 2 boxing things in New York. In fact, there was that one and another one. I forget what the other one is right now off the hand, but in fact, there's 2, and they're like days apart. So yeah, let me read some of your comments, man. Let me catch up. Sorry, I've been just going off and shit. Let me catch up to you guys. Damn. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. We can't go by it. What the? What's up? Thank you for dropping that super chat. That dub. Yeah, yeah. Give you a round one. Okay. Come on, let's get these likes up. Let's get these likes up, people. Thank you for tuning in, everyone that's tuning in here at Round One Sports TV. Thank you. He said, I hate baseball too. Yeah, well, I gotta admit though, right, that there was a point in time that Bud was coming up the division, and nobody wanted that smoke. Nobody, you know. And he was pretty dominant, in the way he was doing his thing. He fought a lot of good fights, and Bud was never scared to travel. I gotta give it to Bud. He wasn't scared to travel. So, I, um, look, I think Bud did put a lot of stock in chasing Errol Spence Jr. And with the good, there was the bad. There was, his career, you know, was stalling out in pursuit of Errol Spence Jr. And he finally cornered them in and he got the fight. In the end, was it all worth it? Yes. Yeah, it was worth it. You know, um, but it did take a big piece of his career. It was like a 6-year ordeal with him. Um, Let me see right now. I actually can actually literally like from the time he came in. So if he fought Arrow 2023, he fought 2007 729 2023 is when he fought Errol Spence Jr. That's July 29th, 2023, right? Okay. So if you was to, let's see, one, two, three, four, five. Okay. For instance, oh, it took him a little bit less. Okay. He fought Jeff Horn 2018. 6-9, June 9th, 2018. He fought Jeff Horn, right? June 9th, 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, she's about 6 years. It took him about 6 years to finally fight. So from the year 2018 to 2023, it took him to fight. It took a long time to unify all four of those belts. Where that when he was in 140 pounds, it only took him a little over 2.5 years to unify all four of those belts. He did it within under 3 years to unify the first four. It took him 6 years to unify the next four. It took Naoya Inoue, the Japanese superstar, 6 months to unify his second four. It took him 2.5 years to unify the first four. And the only reason why it took him 2.5 years is because we went through the corona epidemic. So if the corona epidemic didn't step in his way, I would just wonder how fast it would have took him to secure those first four. I don't think he would have did it on the record pace like he did the second four, because at that point he had momentum and the champions wanted to fight him. They knew they were going to get paid, and it was the smart thing to do. It was champion against champion against champion. He was on a roll, and he kept winning every fight. And just like the next man up, they take a look at him and go, "There's no way this guy's gonna beat me." They all say the same thing. They're looking at him, going, "What's so special about him? Yeah, I'll fight him." And then they get in a ring with him, and it's a whole different ball game. And it's too late. You're already in front of him, and that's what most of these guys are finding out. And the way he's doing it is just truly on some domination shit. So when you sit here and you think about the pound for pound fighter in the world, the best fighter in the world, who should be the best fighter in the world? Now, when we're this close, where there's two men legitimately pushing each other, right? When you can no longer go to their accomplishments because they're even in the biggest award they both have. They are even, which means that award should cancel out each other. Correct? Okay. Now, the only way I would go into the argument would be only one thing: who's fighting the most? Who's more active? because the truth of the matter is, the more you go into the ring, the more opportunity you got a chance of getting knocked out, as we seen the other night with Naoya Inoue. He was dropped for the first time in his career. Why? He's already fought 3 times within a year. He already completed that task, and he's already scheduling another fight. You see? So when you go out more, you're putting more on the line. And if you ask me, in fact, he did put more on the line. He put 4 belts on the line. What is Terence Crawford putting on the line? Oh, in his next fight, he's going in as the challenger. He ain't gonna have any belts. He's not defending anything. He's going in as the challenger. That man, Isaac's gonna be announced as the champion on the day they enter the ring. When Naoya Inoue entered the ring with Luis Nari, he was announced as the unified world champion. In fact, Terence ain't defending the remaining belts he has. You see, so that speaks volumes to who actually is the best fighter in the world. And if I took away Naoya Inoue's picture and Terence Crawford's picture, and I just gave you what I just told you, the stats, the facts, and I laid out their stats side by side, and you see that one guy has only fought 5 times in 5 years, and this guy has already fought 3 times in 1 year. I don't even want to. I can. If I have to do it, I'll do it, because and then it's only right what's only right, right? So if I'm for the last 5 years. So if you was to go back 5 years, Jesus Christ, we don't want to do this, right? If you go back 5 years, and now it's 2004, 2024. You want to go back 5 years from there? That'll be what? That'll be 2019, right? They're not gonna want to do this. They're not going to want to do this. Okay, so 2019, he fought Daenerys. So 5 years ago, from 5 years, he fought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. He almost doubled his activity. He almost doubled it. So, yeah, guys, listen, man. Look, it's up to you. It's up to you, but I'm just bringing you all the facts. I'm not here to sell you. I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just telling you what's on paper. That's it. And I think that Naoya Inoue deserves the pound for pound spot right now. I think that when Terence Crawford, when Naoya Inoue beat Stephen Kubo Fulton, the world said Naoya Inoue pulled out on front from Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford went in the ring and beat Errol Spence Jr. And from that point, they said Terence Crawford now went out on front. And I was in agreement with that. Then Naoya Inoue went on and beat Marlon Tapales, and he still stood in second place. Then he went on and fought Luis Nari and knocked him out, and he's still in second place. How is that possible? He has to be in first place right now. And in my eyes, he's in first place. Okay? Now, if Terence Crawford goes out there and fights, knocks out Israel, then and he does that'll be his 4th weight division. You gotta, even though it ties Naoya, you gotta give him credit for the division. That's a division jump. And you can't overlook that. I don't care if it's just tying the Japanese superstar. That doesn't fucking matter. The fact that he's going from one division to the next, that's hard enough in itself. So if he does that and wins the belt, that merits him past the Japanese dude. And I think that's how we should score it. But we can't allow one fight to pass. Like you're making the Japanese guy do 2 fights or 3 fights to finally pass Terence Crawford. He has to do almost double the amount of work before you give him credit. That's not right. I think that both men are at the point where they could push each other on their next fights. And I think they've already met each other there. He's the Japanese dude. You shouldn't have him fight Stephen Kubo Fulton, Marlon Tapales, and Luis Pantera Nares, and then say maybe he might have passed Terence Crawford when Terence Crawford is still stuck on Errol Spence Jr. That's not right. Fight fans, I love you guys. I've had an amazing fight night tonight. You know, uh, please like in the video. Let me know your comments. I'm going to go back, read through all your comments. You know, I'm going to come back and answer all this shit. I don't know where any of my wrenches were tonight. None of them showed up to work. You know what I mean? This is when you hire outside source, you know. Yo, Casamaro's too busy watching Inoue fights. It takes two to tango, baby. Let me throw some of y'all messages up here too. Yo. Yes, he did. They do. He'll be out there, bro. Yes, 18 to 23, 12-round fights, right? Okay. If you were to look up when Bud started his career, right? How many fights did it take for Bud Crawford to start fighting 12-round fights? Meaning, from the minute he started his career, right? Uh Terence Crawford. Here we are. I'm here. Okay. How many fights? Let's see. His first fight ever scheduled was a 4-round fight. Naoya Inoue's first fight was an 8-round fight schedule. All right. Terence Crawford fought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 4-round fights. Terence Crawford's first 10 fights were scheduled 4-rounders. His first 10 fights. His 11th fight was a 6-round fight. 1 6-round fight, 2 6-round fights, 3 6-round fights, 4 6-round fights. Then he went to 8-round fights. How many 8-round fights he had? One. He had one 8-round fight. Then he went back to 6-round fight. He went backwards. Then he had another 6-round fight, another 6-round fight. Then he went to 8-round, 8-round, 10-round, 10-round, 10-round. Then finally, he got his first 12-round fight, which was against Ricky Burns. That was his first shot at a world title at 135 pounds. So he went 23 fights, 23 professional fights before he had his first 12-round fight. Terence Crawford. Naoya Inoue has 27 fights total. Terence Crawford fought the Japanese entire career without having one 12-round fight scheduled. He's 4 fights off from 27 fights at 23 fights. He almost fought the Japanese superstar's entire career and never fought a 12-round fight. His first 10 fights were 4-round fights. Naoya Inoue only had 2 4-round fights and 2 8-round fights, and the rest of his fights are all been 12-round fights. And since he won his title with only 6 professional fights, it took Terence Crawford 6 years to get his first crack at a world title with 23 fights. The Japanese superstar, it took him 6 fights, and in only 8 fights, he was a 2-division world champion. Come on, man. He smashed Terence Crawford's record. He legitimately took everything Terence Crawford did and he chopped his record in half. He did it at a better and at a faster time. He did everything he did quicker. The problem is the only one bad side to that is I think he did it a little too good. He did it a little too good. Like some of these guys have better reigns for longer period of times. His reigns weren't that dominant. The only the only reign the Naoya Inoue kid had was when he was at 115, where he defended that title 7 consecutive times. You see, his reign in that 118, he only beat the champions. He didn't wipe out the division there. He don't got time for that shit. He's only fighting world champions, right? So he did it too good. Yeah, he did it way too fucking good. Too fast, man. Yeah, he actually did. That's the only thing. Because, there was a lot of fights in between that a lot of people are saying, he should have fought and wiped out all these guys or fought the Casamaras and the MJs. His train was going by so fast that if you missed it, bro, you missed it. And that's exactly what's going on. He's just doing it too good. Yeah. And there was a lot of other fights there that he could have took in between that would have been amazing fights. For as much shit that I give Casemiro because he's trying to rock this kind of champion, and I don't think it's right. Yeah, I don't think he should kiss Naoya Inoue's ass, and I think he should talk shit to Naoya Inoue. And I'm cool with that if Casemiro kept it like that. But that's not where Casemiro kept it, and you guys know that. You guys know what he said. I'm not going to repeat it. If Casemiro's just like, I'll knock this punk out. I'll take Naoya. I can live with that. I'd be like, yeah, Casemiro, come on. Right? That's not what he did. So, no, I'm not going to let him rock on that. But that's the only problem with Naoya in a way is that that's his only guilt that, yeah, he did, in fact, do it too fast. Yeah. Yeah. You here, bro? What you mean you here, bro? We coming off now. It's too late to say, you coming to work at the last hour, huh? Huh? Yo, thank you, brothers. Thank you, guys. Thank you. What's this? Jay, Ja. What'd you say before Naoya anyway had more 10-8 rounds, 42, then 10-9 rounds, 40. Jesus Christ. No way. That's not a real record, is it? That's not a real record, right? Don't make me look this shit up. Don't type some shit because it's gonna fuck with me, and I'm gonna end up looking this shit up because that's how I am. That's some amazing shit right there. It's real. That's amazing. You guys understand what this is saying? Look, I'm not let's just say that it's real, right? I know I've been guilty of I don't want to be that guy that, somebody, but I trust my fans too. That's what I got you guys here for. I like shit like this. So if this is real, you know what this is saying? That he has more dominant performances. In order to get a 10-8 round, that means you're scoring knockdowns or you're beating your opponent so bad that they're clearly awarding you a 10-8 round. If you got more 10-8 rounds than you got fucking, listen. So, yeah, 42, then 10-9 rounds of 40. Yo, that's just pure dominance. That means your career, not only were you winning, but your dominance through what you were doing was at the highest standard. That's kind of like Tom Brady's shit, right? Tom Brady in New England, even though he didn't win every year, Tom Brady, you guys do know this, has never had a losing season for 20 years with New England. As on average, like a quarterback saying the regular season ends and your losses surmount are higher than your wins. That would be considered a losing season. But if your wins are higher than your losses, you didn't have a losing season. You see? So for 20 years, Brady never had a losing season in New England. Not one, right? What he's saying right here is Naoya Inoue has never had a losing season in none of his fights. No one was even close to beating him. That's what that says. That means that he won 90% of all his rounds. That means, like for instance, Luis Pantera Nares won one round in that fight. Since that time, since Luis won that one round, technically, I don't think Marlon Tapales won any round in his fight, and I don't think Stephen Kubo Fulton won any round in their fight. And then before the Stephen Kubo Fulton fight, who was it that he fought? Paul Butler. Jesus, he didn't win none of those. He didn't win a single round. Right? Am I right? Was it Paul Butler, guys? I'll get it right now. Yeah, it went. Luis Nara was his last. Marlon Tapales, Stephen Fulton, Paul Butler. Nonito Donaire didn't win no rounds. Um, Arden, he didn't win no rounds. Michael Desmarines didn't win no rounds. Jason Maloney didn't win any of those rounds. And then we get to the famous Nonito Donaire fight, where that he won a few of those rounds. And then from there, Emmanuel Rodriguez didn't win no rounds. Julio Carlos Payano didn't win, but he didn't even win. Now only threw two punches in that fight. 1-2, the fight was over. So he didn't win none. Jamie McDonald didn't win none. Bro, this list just goes on and on. That's fucking true shit right there. I believe it. That is facts. Yeah, I'm thinking of just going about it myself, doing just a above search observation. That's real. That's fucking real. Yeah, look it up, bro. I have to go down from your messages. Yeah, it's just popping up on this screen. I'm on this screen going up, so I'm answering the messages a little behind. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I see it. Payano didn't definitely win any round. No, let me think about that again. Well, there was a point in the round where he did point his foot in his direction. That was aggressive. Nah, he didn't win no part of the round. Complete dominance. Complete dominance. And like I said, I don't want this to be one. And this is why I advocate for the best of the best. It wouldn't have mattered if Naoya Inoue was Russian. It wouldn't have mattered. He could have been Ukrainian. He could have been Mexican. He could have been anything in the world. What I judge him on is for being himself, for being the warrior that he is, for the things that he does with his hands. That's what I judge Naoya Inoue for the man that he is, the way he's showing his dominance in this sport, and the things that he's achieving in this sport. In this sport right here, if you want to be considered the best, talk is fucking cheap, bro. What have you done? Ryan Garcia can do all the talking he wants in the world, but until present day, he has never, and I repeat, never won a world title yet. It's hard enough to win one world title. You can take that big bag of money, and all you can do when you get in front of the Hall of Fame, they're going to say, hey, that's a pretty big bag of money you got there, kid. And you say, yes, it is. You can't get in this building, but there's another way you can get in the building. You can go inside that bag of money and get some money out and buy a ticket. We got an afternoon show. We got a morning show. You know what I'm saying? You can go in and see the men and women that actually got the hardware, Ryan Garcia. So you do got enough money to buy multiple tickets to come inside. That's about it. That's the only way you're getting inside that building. It's with a ticket, buddy, and no fucking cutting in line, right? So that's it. Unless you want to be talked about and you want your name to live along among the legends and the men and women that did it the best, well, you better get to work. You better get to work. So, yeah, look, men can talk shit all they want. It's what you're doing in the sport that definitely counts. And without that, buddy, everything else is just bullshit. And I don't want the sport to go by without the world. And if I can and bring him and bring attention to you and open your eyes to one of the best fighters of our time, I will do so. And I will use my platform to push out the men and women that we feel are doing it the best. I'm not alone in this when I say that we believe that Naoya Inoue is the best fighter in the world. And we believe, because of the fact that he's in a lower weight division and not in the glamour divisions, that he is not getting his just dues. And we also believe that he has to do double, if not triple the work every time just to get a step forward. And I don't think it's right when he has already proven to the world who he is. When he's walked through and cleaned out these kind of divisions in such an impressive manner. You know what I'm saying? So, I think credit should be, given. You know what I'm saying? Like here, Loma will beat him at 126. Really? Maybe at 130? Yes, he is. And I've talked about that fight. It's a very interesting fight. And I think Loma can cut the weight because he's a natural 130 pounder. I think Loma could actually meet him at 126. He'll squeeze down and he'll be fine. Because I think Loma's blimped up at 135. Let's not forget why Loma's at 135 in the first place, because the big names were there. He didn't have his team felt like they were better dancing partners at 135 when all the Teofimo Lopez, the Devin Haney's, the Ryan Garcias, the Tank Davises were all there. At that time, Shakur Stevenson, he was at 130, but he was making noise at a different level. So to avoid Shakur and all of them, he moves up to 135. You know what I mean? So that's why he's there. But I really think that Loma can make that weight. Now, as far as Loma beating Naoya Inoue, listen, since Naoya Inoue hasn't given me any reason to doubt his skills, Loma would have to show me that. Loma would have to show me that. But I do admit that would be a fire fight, I think, because they both on that stature. And when you got the dance performing right, you got to remember that that's right up Loma's alley. That's where Loma's great at, counter punching. Devin Haney didn't counter with Loma. It was usually like downstairs and around the guard body. People didn't want it. Tio at times was punching with Loma. There's a difference. But Loma shines when he could spin the guy like Comboza. He started spinning him, coming on the side of him, and he was working his angles real good. Naoya Inoue has good footwork too. Yo, it's gonna be like two Japanese swordsmen. They're gonna jump up in the air, go by each other. One's just gonna drop. Right? On some fucking samurai shit. That'll be a great fight, I think. Those are fights in the future. Hopefully, we can get. If not, are we gonna get that Tank Davis Loma? Is this serious? Is Tank Davis calling out Loma? And is Loma like really like this time willing to go for it? I mean, Loma can't play games no more. His father can't keep sheltering him from these guys. And I think that's Loma listened to his team instead of listening to his heart. Because I know Loma believed at that time he was the best fighter in the world. He was just listening to them. He should have just went for it at that time. He shouldn't have avoided 19-year-old Devin Haney. He should have fought him and stayed the course. And if he would have kept that WBC world title, I don't know what happened. I gotta think that something was wrong with him in that TO fight because he didn't stop fighting at all until like the sixth round. It's like he had to warm up or something. So I think something was off, but it doesn't matter. If you lose, you lose. No excuses. You took the fight, didn't you? Right? Okay, you're responsible for your outcome. That's it. Okay. And one more thing before I wrap this show up. Let me in fact read some more messages and throw them up out there and see what's going on. Donaire didn't start his career at 118. Loma started at 126. Yeah. And Naoya Inoue started at 108. And we're asking this guy that started his career at 108 to jump up all the way to 126, 130. And you guys are just because it can roll off the tip of your tongue so easily to say. Like, you know what I'm saying? Donaire did start his career at 118. We could find that out right now for you. I can find that out right now. Where's Donaire? Right here. Here, let me click on his name. Here we go. Donaire, the Flash. It comes to us with a record of 42-28 with 8 losses. Through his 8 losses, he got knocked out twice. He's currently 41 years old right now. Okay. And Donaire started his career off. What was the question? 108? Yes, he did. He started against Jose Zaparo. He fought him. He started his career 2001. Yeah. He started at 118. That's where he started. He actually weighed in 117 and a half. Uh, and he lost his second professional fight. Donaire. Yeah, maybe I knew that. I just didn't remember. Yeah. Yeah. A 4 division world champion. Did he solidify the fourth division after that loss? I remember he moved up. He lost to Foster, I think it was, and he wasn't successful. But did he later go and become? You're not counting an interim belt because here around When Sports Talk we don't count interim belts as world titles. They have to be the regular, the super, like that. You know what I'm saying? Because we here at this channel we break down the confusion. All those interim belts and calling yourself champion. Like, for instance, when Devin Haney was a 135-pound champion for, I think it was the WBA, right? He wasn't the champion at 135. How could he be the champion if Devin Haney had all the 4 belts at 135? You understand? Devin Haney was the interim. I mean, I'm sorry. Tank Davis was the interim. Devin Haney was the real champion. You see? So we don't consider Tank a champion at that time. Now he just been upgraded. Now he's gonna Frank the Ghost Martin. He beats Ghost Martin in the ring. The ceremony's complete. He is the legitimate champion at 135 now. You see what I'm saying? But he did have a piece of the championship. He had an interim belt. So did your question is did he solidify a real world champion for his fourth weight division? I can find that out right now. At 112, he got his first real belt, the IBF, and then he got the IBO, which is not. But the IBF flyweight, that's a real belt. So his first belt was at 112, his first legitimate. That North American Boxing Federation, that doesn't count. Those belts don't count. They're not. The WBO Asian Pacific Flyweight Championship belt, that shit don't count. That's not a belt. That's not a belt. His first real world title is from what we count. And his first real world title came at 112. Yep. So he has a title at 112. We're counting it. One. And he doesn't need two belts in any division. What qualifies you for division world champion, all you need is one belt, one real world title in that division, and you are a one division world champion. If you move up, all you need in the next weight is one belt. You don't need all four. You don't need three. You don't need two. All you need is one. That's all you need. So he has one there. Then he steps up to 119. He gets the WBA Interim World Championship. That's not a belt. So far, he only has one weight division. That's an interim. That's an interim. The WBC Intercontinental American Bantam. That is not a belt. The WBC and WBO World Bantam Championships at 118. Those are both real world titles. So far, he has two weight divisions. He has 112 and 118. That's all he has so far. So he moves up to 122 and he get the WBO Super Bantamweight title at 122. Ching ching, that's a belt. And that's at 122. That's a real belt. The IBF Super, that's a belt. The WBO Super, that's a belt. But they're at all 122. You can't get double credit. Like Naoya Inoue, he has 4 belts at 122, but he's only the one champion. You can't count those 3 for the same weight division. You only necessarily need to count one belt. That's it. So he's got that. WBC Diamond. It's not a belt, but still, he's still at 122. Now he's at 125. Motherfucker. At 125 for the 126, he won the WBA Super World Champion. That is a fucking belt. And then he defended it. Or he lost it. Did he lose it? Yeah, he lost it in the second attempt. He won it and then he lost it. He's got legitimately 4 weight divisions. Yes, he does. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he never fought any higher than that. Yeah, he's legitimately a 4 division world champion, Donito Donaire. Good to know. Yep. I was just checking boxing records. Donita jumped up and down many times. Yeah, he did. He followed the big fights. He followed them. If there was a guy down there with a bigger fight, bigger name, he wasn't scared to do that. Donaire the Flash, he made his mark. He pulled some of the biggest upsets in boxing that people didn't think he was going to win, and he did so. He established himself with top rank. They had him high at the pound for pound. I'm not sure if at one point in his career he was at number 1 or he was either like number 1 or number 2 or some shit like that. In his career. And then, he caught a couple bad losses, which he has 8 losses, and he was knocked out twice in his 8 losses. That was a unanimous decision loss. Let me see one of his losses here. I'm not remember who beat him first, but as far as the TKO, Waters TKO'd in the 6th round. Who is another guy that knocked him out? I don't remember who the other. Oh, Naoya Inoue. That was a joke. Who was the other guy that knocked him out? I'm not sure. Who was it? Oh, Naoya. He's a tough motherfucker. You got to give it to Donaire. And then that's what I'm saying, that a lot of people are like, oh, no, Donaire's not no good. And he was old when Naoya Inoue fought him. I'm like, really now? If Donaire was old? If you take Naoya Inoue out of that tournament, Donaire wins it. He beats everybody else. So he's good enough to beat everybody else, but when he fights against the Japanese dude, he was old. Fuck out of here, bro. Donaire was a fucking dog. He just lost the fight. That's it. He was schooled by Loma. Yeah, he was. Schooled. That's why that Loma fight and the Naoya Inoue fight would be a mega showdown, bro, guys. It would be a great fight, I think. Yeah, man. I actually think that fight would bring out a better version of fucking Loma. For once, he could fight at his weight, his real weight, and be comfortable and then gain a couple pounds and be strong. The fact that Loma has fought guys 140 pounds, because at 135, when you come in the next night, you're going to come in way past 140. So on fight night, you're actually fighting, at that weight, right? Okay. So the fact that Loma has rocked and rolled with some of the bigger guys up there, by going down to fight Naoya Inoue, he might be able to take his punch. His face and his conditioning might be that of harder punching men. And it might be a great slugfest. Yup. And as you can see, Naoya Inoue has some trouble in that fight with Luis Nari when he was going backwards. He didn't look that good. He had that funny, awkward movement. He went like that. He's never been pushed back in fights. He never practiced that. He never practiced going on the retreat. Hell no, there was no retreat for him. It's forward. So he didn't look good going backwards. Nah, because he has no intentions on going backwards. It's all straight ahead, baby. You know what I'm saying? So, but I just think that Loma has beaten big names, big competitions. And Naoya Inoue did struggle a bit with Donaire, and Donaire is fucking outclassing those guys that beat him too as well. And in fact knocked him out. And now, I mean, the second performance that Naoya Inoue did with Donaire was a complete destruction of Donaire. That was just dominance right there. You know, he knocked him out within 2 rounds. I don't think anyone's ever done that to Donaire. No, in his 8 losses, no one's knocked him out in 2 rounds. If the only times he's ever been knocked down was one in the 6th, and then now you're in the 2nd. So that's the truth. So yeah, man, guys. This guy is really good and unique. He's good for the sport. I support him. I think that he's a very, very skilled fighter, a crafty, a technical fighter, and a power puncher. He's fun to watch. Every time I tune into one of his fights, I know that I'm going to get that oh wow moment. I'm going to be sitting in my chair and I'm going to go, holy shit, right? Because the moment's going to come. And, he really shows that he's fan pleasing fighter. He's constantly coming forward, constantly trying to, you don't have to look for him in the ring. He's going to find you. And soon most of his opponents, after just a couple rounds in the ring with them, they have this look on their face where that if there was a tent in a corner in the round where they can go hide, they would go there. They didn't want to be in the ring with him. So it goes to show that he really was on a different level than a lot of men. And I love to see him box every time, and I look forward to beating Sam Goodman. Get Goodman out of the way, fight all your mandatories, acclimate to the division, work on your size, while you're stalling to put on the muscle the correct way so that you can enter the 126. He wants to make sure he's packing it on, but he's also staying active. So while he acclimates better to the 122, so that he's looking for the future, in order to stay busy, he decided to fight all the number 1 guys in a row consistently. Real fucking champion. That's championship shit. And if I've ever had to speak on a man and look out from the outside in and say, motherfucker, that's how it's done. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I've been your host, Edwin. Please give the video a like. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. If you want to know when I'm dropping my videos, just click that bell icon and it'll alert you when I'm dropping my videos. It's been my pleasure. I always love to talk boxing, and I'm on to the next one after this one here at Round One Sports Talk. Peace. Have a good night, and thank you for tuning in.